How can a country smaller than the state of Texas hold the world's highest mountains, tropical jungles, and deserts all at once? If you think you already know Nepal, you're about to realize you've only seen a fraction of what's really here. First, we'll uncover the fascinating truths behind this land of extremes. And then, we'll journey through the most amazing places that prove Nepal breaks every rule of nature. Here's where it gets interesting, because everything you thought you knew about Nepal is just the surface. Beneath it lies a land of contradictions that seems to rewrite the rules of the planet itself. For starters, Nepal may look small on the map. About 800 kilometers long, that's roughly 500 miles. But inside that narrow strip of land, you can travel from steamy jungles filled with tigers to icy peaks that scrape the edge of space in less than a day's drive. It's like squeezing the entire world into one country. And the reason why is almost unbelievable. Scientists say Nepal rises faster than almost anywhere else on Earth, about 1 centimeter a year, or nearly half an inch, as the Indian tectonic plate slams into the Eurasian plate, still pushing the Himalayas higher. That means Mount Everest isn't a fixed height, it's growing. Every few years, surveyors have to recalculate its exact summit. But here's the strange part. While the land rises, it's also sinking. In the southern plains, the ground slowly compresses under massive river sediments from the mountains above. So, in a single country, the Earth's crust moves in opposite directions at once. And that's just the start. Nepal's rivers don't simply flow, they carve through some of the deepest valleys on the planet. The Kali Gandaki Gorge, for example, slices down more than 5,500 meters, nearly 18,000 feet, making it deeper than the Grand Canyon. Locals say it's not just a river valley, but the path of the gods themselves, a place where fossils called shalograms are worshipped as sacred symbols of creation. But what really blows people's minds is the contrast. Within a few hundred kilometers, that's about 200 miles, you can find elephants, rhinos, and Bengal tigers in the south, while snow leopards and yaks roam in the north. Nowhere else on Earth do these species coexist in a space this small. It's like nature couldn't decide on one climate, so it gave Nepal all of them. And it's not just nature that defies logic, the culture does too. Nepal has more than 120 ethnic groups and over 120 languages, yet somehow it functions with a level of harmony that puzzles sociologists. People from dozens of different origins live side by side, Buddhists and Hindus sharing temples, Tibetan prayer flags fluttering above Hindu shrines. It's not separation, it's fusion. And that fusion shapes everything here, from food to festivals to philosophy. But here's the part that most travelers never realize. Nepal was never colonized. While nearly every other country in South Asia was ruled by foreign powers, Nepal managed to stay independent through a mix of diplomacy, isolation, and sheer geography. The British Empire tried and failed. They called it the land too high to conquer. This independence helped preserve something almost lost elsewhere, an ancient sense of identity untouched by outside rule. Even the calendar here runs differently. Nepal follows the Bikram Sambat calendar, which is about 57 years ahead of the Gregorian one. So if you land in Kathmandu and your phone says 2025, for locals, it's already the year 2082. It feels like stepping both into the past and into the future at the same time. And there's another mystery hidden in plain sight. Despite being home to some of the tallest mountains on Earth, Nepal's air traffic is among the most challenging anywhere. Not just because of altitude, but because of optical illusions created by the landscape itself. Pilots say the horizon often disappears, and even experienced aviators describe flying here as part science, part instinct. That's why tiny airstrips are cut into cliff sides, some so short that planes must take off downhill and land uphill, like something out of a movie. But altitude here doesn't just shape the land, it shapes the people. In remote mountain communities, generations have evolved with larger lungs and higher oxygen efficiency than anywhere else on Earth. Scientists studying human adaptation call it a living miracle of biology. Some locals can carry loads heavier than their own body weight. Across mountain passes higher than 5,000 meters. That's over 16,000 feet, and they do it while smiling. And yet, despite its isolation, Nepal has given something extraordinary to the world. It's the birthplace of Buddha. From that one man's journey for enlightenment, entire philosophies of peace and compassion spread across continents, and all of it began right here, in this small mountain nation. But here's what makes Nepal unforgettable. It's not just a place of extremes, but of harmony. Glaciers and jungles, monks and mountaineers, all thriving side by side. Just when you think you've understood it, Nepal reveals something new, another mystery waiting in the mountains. And now, let's explore the places that make this paradox real, the most extraordinary wonders of Nepal. At first glance, Kathmandu feels like pure chaos, a maze of horns, prayer flags, and incense-filled alleys. But here's what most travelers never realize. Beneath that chaos lies a city built entirely around balance, between the sacred and the everyday. For centuries, Kathmandu has been more than Nepal's capital. It's been the beating spiritual heart of the Himalayas. Here, Hindu and Buddhist worlds don't just coexist, they overlap. You can hear temple bells mixing with Buddhist chants and watch saffron-robed monks walking past Hindu shrines. It's one of the few places on Earth where two religions literally share the same sacred ground. But there's a mystery hidden in its design. The entire old city was laid out, following ancient tantric geometry. Every alley and courtyard aligned with cosmic symbols meant to channel energy. Even the famous living goddess, the Kumari, is chosen here. A young girl believed to embody divine power until she reaches puberty. It's a city where daily life feels like a ritual and where modern noise can't drown out ancient rhythm. And as you leave its crowded streets behind, the pulse of history doesn't fade. It only shifts, revealing another layer of Nepal's living past. Just across the river from Kathmandu lies another world, quieter, older, and far more intricate. At first, Patan seems like a smaller version of the capital. But what happens here reveals the soul of Nepalese craftsmanship. For over 1,000 years, Patan has been a city of artists. Bronze casters, wood carvers, and metal workers once served royal dynasties, creating sculptures so detailed that modern experts still can't explain how they were made without machines. Many of those techniques are still alive today, passed down through generations inside tiny workshops hidden behind temple courtyards. At the heart of the city stands Patan Durbar Square, a masterpiece of newer architecture where every roof edge and window frame tells a story from Hindu epics. It's not just decoration, it's a spiritual code written in wood and stone. And deep inside the labyrinth of alleys stands the Golden Temple, a Buddhist sanctuary glowing with brass and devotion. Patan is where religion becomes art, and art becomes immortal. But travel just a few kilometers farther, And that artistic perfection gives way to something that feels almost frozen in time. Step into Bhaktapur, and it feels like walking into a living museum. No glass cases, no velvet ropes, just centuries of history unfolding in real time. Once a royal capital, Bhaktapur preserved what the rest of the world forgot. Its narrow brick lanes are lined with medieval courtyards, pottery wheels spinning in the open air, and locals drying grains under temple roofs, exactly as they did hundreds of years ago. But here's where it gets interesting. Bhaktapur's architecture isn't just beautiful, it's engineered to withstand earthquakes. Ancient builders developed flexible brick structures that could move without collapsing, a technique modern engineers still study. And those famous temples, like Nyatapola, with its five-tiered roof, were built entirely without steel, only wood, stone, and precision. Even daily life here carries rhythm. The city wakes to the sound of conch shells at dawn, followed by prayers, festivals, and masked dances that can last for days. Bhaktapur isn't trying to recreate the past. It is the past, still alive. If Nepal were a story, Gorkha would be the chapter where it all began. At first glance, it's just a quiet hill town, surrounded by terraces and mist. But beneath that calm lies the birthplace of a kingdom. In the early 1700s, it was here that King Prithvi Narayan Shah was born, the man who dreamed of uniting dozens of small kingdoms into one Nepal. But there's a deeper layer to Gorkha's legacy. This land gave its name to the world-famous Gurkha soldiers, renowned for their courage and loyalty. For centuries, they've served in armies around the world, from British regiments to UN peacekeeping missions, earning a reputation as some of the toughest fighters alive. Today, Gorkha feels peaceful, but every corner carries echoes of discipline, bravery, and unity, the very ideals that shaped Nepal itself. And as you leave its ancient palace behind, the path ahead leads into landscapes where nature, not kings, rules with quiet power. Far from the busy trekking routes, there's a trail that feels almost untouched by time, the Manaslu Circuit. Named after the world's 8th highest mountain, this journey circles one of the most remote regions in Nepal. But what makes it extraordinary isn't just its height, it's the contrast. In less than 180 kilometers, that's about 110 miles, you move from lush rice fields and bamboo forests to icy glaciers and barren high-altitude deserts. It's like traveling through multiple worlds in a single trek. The villages along the route, Sama, Samdo, Lo, still follow ancient Tibetan traditions. You'll hear prayer wheels spinning in the wind and see mani walls carved with Buddhist mantras that stretch for hundreds of meters. Most of these settlements sit above 3,000 meters, or nearly 10,000 feet, where oxygen thins and silence deepens. Crossing the Larkiala Pass at 5,160 meters, almost 17,000 feet, feels like stepping into the sky itself. Every breath becomes a reminder of how fragile and powerful life is at this altitude. Yet as wild as it feels, the Manaslu Circuit is just the beginning. Ahead lies one of Nepal's most famous and breathtaking natural amphitheaters. Here, the mountains don't just surround you, they tower above you like walls of ice and light. Annapurna Base Camp, or ABC, sits in a natural bowl carved by glaciers over millennia, encircled by peaks that rise more than 8,000 meters, 26,000 feet into the clouds. Trekkers often describe this place as surreal. You wake up above the tree line, where the air is sharp and clear, and watch the first light hit the face of Annapurna 1, one of the deadliest yet most beautiful mountains on Earth. Every echo of wind feels amplified, as if the whole valley were breathing. But this landscape hides a secret. Annapurna's name means goddess of nourishment, and local myths say she blesses the land with fertility and balance. That's why every climb here begins with a prayer, not for success, but for safe return. Scientists still marvel at how diverse the region is. Within just 50 kilometers, or 30 miles, you can find subtropical forests, alpine meadows, and eternal snow. And yet, beyond these colossal peaks, the Himalayas reveal a softer side, a place where the sunrise itself becomes the wonder. At first, Ghorepani feels like just another mountain village. Wooden lodges, stone steps, and clouds drifting between rooftops. But before sunrise, something happens that turns this quiet place into one of the most magical viewpoints on Earth. From Ghorepani, a short climb leads to Poon Hill, a ridge standing 3,210 meters high, nearly 10,500 feet. And what you see from there is hard to believe. The entire Annapurna and Dhaulagiri ranges glowing gold under the first light of day. It's a 360-degree panorama of the Himalayas, so vast that it feels like the sky itself is on fire. But what makes it special isn't just the view, it's the feeling. After days of trekking through forests and stone villages, hundreds of travelers stand in silence together, watching the sun rise as prayer flags flutter in the wind. No selfies, no noise, just pure awe. Locals say that whoever sees this sunrise carries its peace for life. And as you descend through rhododendron forests painted red and pink in spring, the path ahead begins to reveal the everyday rhythm of Himalayan life. Nestled on a terraced hillside, Ghandruk looks like a village from a storybook. It's home to the Gurung people, one of Nepal's most respected ethnic groups, known both for their warm hospitality and their bravery as Gorkha soldiers. Every stone alley here leads to another courtyard, lined with slate-roofed houses and blooming marigolds. But what makes Ghandruk truly fascinating is how it balances ancient tradition with modern resilience. While many mountain villages struggle with isolation, Ghandruk became a model of sustainable living, using solar power, community tourism, and local crafts to thrive at 2,000 meters, or 6,500 feet. Visitors can stay in family-run guest houses, learn to weave traditional fabrics, or join in folk dances where every rhythm echoes the mountains. It's not just a stop on a trekking route. It's a glimpse into a lifestyle built on self-reliance and quiet pride. And just beyond its terraced fields, the air starts to thin again, hinting at landscapes where civilization fades and raw wilderness takes over. Beyond the forests and villages lies Manang, a windswept valley that feels like another planet. At over 3,500 meters, nearly 11,500 feet, the trees disappear, and the land turns into a desert of dust, cliffs, and sky. But Manang isn't empty. It's alive with stories. This was once part of an ancient trade route between Nepal and Tibet, where caravans carried salt, wool, and spices across the mountains. Even today, old stone houses line narrow alleys, their roofs stacked with firewood and prayer flags dancing in the wind. What surprises most visitors is how self-contained this high-altitude town is. Despite the harsh conditions, locals grow barley and keep yaks, while monks study in remote monasteries perched on cliffs above. And because the air here is so thin, every breath feels earned, which is why trekkers stop in Manang to acclimatize before crossing the higher passes. At night, when the temperature drops below freezing, the sky explodes with stars, so clear it feels like you could touch them. And beyond this valley, the path climbs higher still, toward places where faith, legend, and survival merge into one. At first glance, it looks unreal. A turquoise lake surrounded by nothing but stone, ice, and silence. But this isn't just another Himalayan lake. It's Tilicho, one of the highest bodies of water on Earth, sitting at 4,919 meters, over 16,100 feet. Reaching it isn't easy. The trail winds along narrow cliffs carved into the mountainside, where one wrong step could send you tumbling thousands of feet down. Yet, every year, pilgrims and trekkers make the journey for one reason: to witness the impossible. The water here comes straight from melting glaciers, so pure that scientists studying it describe it as liquid crystal. Local legend says it's the lake mentioned in the Hindu epic Ramayana, where the god Indra's thunderbolt struck the mountains. That's why many see Tilicho not just as nature's masterpiece, but as something divine. When the wind rises, the surface ripples like shattered glass, reflecting the peaks of Annapurna and Nilgiri. And beyond this frozen silence, the landscape begins to change again, turning from ice to dust as the path leads deeper into one of the most sacred and surreal regions of Nepal. High in the Mustang region, where oxygen thins and prayer flags whip in the wind, stands a temple unlike any other, Muktinath, the place of liberation. At 3,800 meters, about 12,500 feet, it's one of the few sites on Earth sacred to both Hindus and Buddhists. Here, natural gas seeps from the ground and burns next to an icy stream, creating an eternal flame beside freezing water. Locals say it symbolizes the union of opposites: fire and ice, heaven and earth. Every year, thousands of pilgrims make the journey here, walking barefoot to bathe under 108 stone spouts of glacial water, each representing a sacred name of Vishnu. For them, it's not just a ritual, it's a path to spiritual freedom. Scientists studying the area found that the flame source is natural methane trapped beneath the rock, but locals insist it's divine energy that's been burning for eternity. Surrounded by mountains and silence, Muktinath feels timeless, a place where faith outlasts the elements. And beyond its gates, the land turns even drier and more dramatic as the trail enters a kingdom carved from wind and stone. There's no place in Nepal quite like this. A high-altitude desert of cliffs, caves, and forgotten kingdoms. Welcome to Upper Mustang, once known as the Forbidden Kingdom. For centuries, outsiders weren't allowed to enter. This isolation preserved a culture closer to Tibet than to the rest of Nepal, with ancient monasteries painted in deep red and gold, and entire villages built from sun-dried earth. The landscape looks like another planet. Eroded canyons, wind-sculpted towers, and mysterious caves carved into vertical cliffs. Archaeologists found murals and manuscripts dating back over 1,000 years, many still untouched by modern hands. At the heart of the region lies Lomanthang, the old walled capital, where the last king of Mustang ruled until 2008. Despite the end of monarchy, locals still treat him as a spiritual figure, proof that tradition here doesn't fade, it simply adapts. Upper Mustang feels like a time capsule, an entire civilization hidden above the clouds. And as the journey continues south, the barren land slowly gives way to life again, to reflections, water, and color returning to the valleys below. After the dust and altitude of the mountains, Pokhara feels like another world. Green, warm, and impossibly calm. But this city isn't just a place to rest. It's the gateway where the Himalayas meet serenity. Pokhara sits at the edge of a massive valley carved by ancient glaciers, with peaks like Namche Bazaar, the Fishtail Mountain, reflected perfectly in its lakes. On clear days, you can see snow-covered summits rising straight out of subtropical forests. Few cities on Earth blend such extremes in one frame. But what makes Pokhara truly fascinating is what lies beneath. Scientists discovered that the valley rests above one of Nepal's largest underground cave systems, formed by millions of years of flowing water. That's why the area is full of sinkholes, waterfalls, and caverns like Gupteshwar Cave, a hidden temple beneath the city itself. Yet, Pokhara is also the heart of modern Nepalese adventure, paragliding, boating, trekking, or just watching the sunset turn the Himalayas pink. And as night falls, its calm surface begins to glow with city lights, a reflection of life returning after the stillness of the high mountains. Beyond the city, though, that calmness deepens into something even more reflective. At first glance, Phewa Lake looks like a painting, still water mirroring the snowy peaks above. But look closer. And you'll see it's more than beauty. It's the emotional center of Pokhara. Covering almost 5 square kilometers, about 2 square miles, Phewa Lake is the second largest in Nepal and a lifeline for the region. Fishermen glide silently across its surface in wooden boats, while the reflection of Machapusher shimmers so perfectly that locals call it the mirror of the gods. In the middle of the lake stands Tal Barahi Temple, dedicated to the goddess Barahi, protector of Pokhara. It can only be reached by boat, and during festivals, the air fills with music, offerings, and floating lamps drifting across the water. But beneath the serenity lies a fascinating paradox. This lake is slowly shrinking. Sediment from the surrounding hills flows in every monsoon, forcing conservationists to battle time itself to save it. Still, at sunrise, when mist rolls over the surface and bells ring from distant temples, Phewa Lake feels eternal. And not far away, tucked between forested hills, lies another body of water, smaller, quieter, but equally mesmerizing. If Phewa Lake is the heart of Pokhara, Begnas Lake is its soul, calm, secluded, and deeply connected to local life. Just 15 kilometers away, that's roughly 9 miles, it feels like a secret world untouched by noise. Fewer tourists come here, which makes it one of Nepal's most peaceful escapes. You can still see farmers washing vegetables at the shore, women gathering water, and children paddling in tiny wooden canoes. Life moves here at the rhythm of the water itself. But Begnas is more than scenic. It's vital. It provides irrigation for the surrounding terraced fields and supports a delicate ecosystem of migratory birds and freshwater fish. During early morning hours, mist rises from its surface, creating an illusion that the hills are floating. Begnas Lake is where you truly feel Nepal's duality, silence, and life coexisting perfectly. And as you move farther south, the water slowly gives way to plains, where spirituality replaces scenery and history speaks in whispers. It's hard to imagine that one of the most influential figures in human history was born in a place so quiet, so humble. But here in Lumbini, around 563 BCE, a prince named Siddhartha Gautama took his first breath, the man who would become the Buddha. At first, the site feels unassuming, a garden of ruins, ponds, and brick foundations. But what lies beneath is sacred ground that changed the course of civilization. Archaeologists discovered a pillar erected by Emperor Ashoka more than 2,000 years ago, confirming this as the birthplace of the Enlightened One. Inside the Maya Devi temple, a glass floor reveals the exact spot where Buddha was born, marked by an ancient stone and surrounded by prayer flags from across the world. But Lumbini isn't just a relic, it's a living pilgrimage. More than 25 monasteries, built by countries from Thailand to France, stand side by side, symbolizing global unity through compassion. And as you leave this sanctuary of silence, the path ahead leads into the wild, where nature, not philosophy, becomes the teacher. Just 150 kilometers, about 90 miles. From the snowy peaks, the air turns heavy and warm. This is Chitwan National Park, a world away from the Himalayas, where elephants replace yaks and the jungle hums with life. Spanning nearly 1,000 square kilometers, that's over 380 square miles, Chitwan is Nepal's oldest national park and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's home to the endangered one-horned rhinoceros, Bengal tigers, leopards, crocodiles, and more than 500 bird species. But here's what's fascinating. The ecosystem survives thanks to a delicate balance between wildlife and people. Local Tharu communities have lived along these rivers for centuries, adapting to the rhythms of the jungle rather than fighting them. Their homes, made from mud and grass, blend seamlessly into the landscape. Visitors can explore by canoe, jeep, or even on elephant back, gliding past crocodiles, basking on riverbanks, and rhinos grazing in the mist. And at sunset, when the forest glows gold, the calls of peacocks and monkeys echo like a symphony. Chitwan proves that Nepal isn't just mountains. It's one of the most biodiverse countries on Earth. And as you head north again, the air cools, and the jungle gives way to glaciers. As the lowlands fade behind, the landscape transforms once more into a valley of ice, cliffs, and legends. This is Langtang, known as the Valley of Glaciers. only about 60 kilometers, nearly 40 miles, north of Kathmandu, it feels like another world entirely. Here, snow leopards prowl unseen, red pandas hide among the trees, and prayer flags stretch across ridges that touch the clouds. But Langtang carries both beauty and sorrow. In 2015, a massive earthquake triggered an avalanche that buried an entire village, reminding the world how fragile life in the Himalayas can be. Since then, locals have rebuilt everything from scratch, turning tragedy into resilience. The region is part of Langtang National Park, Nepal's first Himalayan conservation area. Glaciers here feed some of Asia's great rivers, supplying water to millions downstream. And from Kanchenjunga, a small monastery at nearly 3,900 meters, about 12,800 feet, the view of Langtang Lirung's peak feels infinite. The valley is quiet, spiritual, and strangely intimate, a place where the mountains seem close enough to whisper. But farther east lies Nepal's greatest legend, the world's tallest and most unforgiving summit. From a distance, it looks silent, but this mountain has more stories than any monument on Earth. Mount Everest at 8,848 meters, nearly 29,000 feet, is not just the highest point on the planet. It's a living symbol of human endurance. But here's the truth most people never hear. Everest is still growing. Each year, tectonic pressure pushes it a few millimeters higher, proof that the Earth itself is still shaping this giant. Yet even as it rises, climbing it becomes increasingly unpredictable. Shifting glaciers, thin air, and storms that appear from nowhere. The first successful ascent by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay in 1953 changed mountaineering forever. Today, hundreds attempt it each season, but 1 in 10 never return. Despite the danger, the mountain continues to draw dreamers from every corner of the world. Locals call it Sagarmatha, goddess of the sky. And standing beneath it, watching clouds swirl around its summit, it's easy to understand why. But before climbers even reach its shadow, they must first pass through a gateway where adventure meets survival. Built like an amphitheater carved into a mountainside, Namche Bazaar is more than a village. It's the beating heart of the Everest region. At 3,440 meters, around 11,300 feet, It's the last major stop before the higher Himalayas, and it feels like an outpost between worlds. Trekkers rest here to acclimatize, while Sherpas trade everything from climbing gear to yak cheese. Once a remote settlement, Namche became a vital trading hub, connecting Nepal and Tibet through centuries of commerce and culture. But what's truly fascinating is how it thrives in thin air. Solar panels, power lodges, Wi-Fi reaches even the ridgelines, and colorful markets bloom every Saturday. A perfect mix of ancient and modern. The Sherpas' deep knowledge of altitude and weather patterns has saved countless climbers' lives. They navigate these slopes with instinct that no GPS can match. At night, the village lights flicker beneath Everest's outline, as if the stars themselves had settled on Earth. And beyond Namche's narrow paths, the trail leads to a place where faith, nature, and altitude converge in one of the Himalayas' most spiritual sanctuaries. Perched on a ridge framed by Everest, Lhotse, and Amadablam, Tengboche Monastery feels like a temple floating between earth and sky. It stands at 3,867 meters, almost 12,700 feet, making it one of the highest monasteries in the world. The first thing you notice is the sound. Deep horns echoing through the mountains, prayer flags snapping in the wind, and the low hum of monks chanting. It's not just a monastery, it's a spiritual checkpoint for everyone heading higher. Climbers and trekkers stop here to receive blessings before continuing their journey toward the base of the world's highest peak. Founded in 1916, Tengboche has been rebuilt twice, once after an earthquake and again after a fire in 1989. Each time, the community restored it by hand, brick by brick, proving faith can be stronger than stone. And just beyond these sacred walls lies a hidden world of lakes so vivid they look unreal. In the shadow of Everest lies one of Nepal's greatest natural wonders, the Gokyo Lakes. A chain of 6 glacial lakes shimmering between 4,700 and 5,000 meters, around 15,400 to 16,400 feet, they form the highest freshwater lake system on Earth. Their colors shift from emerald to deep sapphire depending on the light, fed by meltwater from the Ingozumpa Glacier, the largest glacier in Nepal. But there's something even more remarkable. Locals believe these lakes are sacred homes of serpent deities, and during certain festivals, hundreds of pilgrims bathe here in icy water to wash away sins. The village of Gokyo sits beside the third lake, a handful of stone lodges against a backdrop of pure white peaks. From here, hikers climb Gokyo-ri, a 5,357 meters, 17,575 foot ridge offering one of the most spectacular panoramic views in the Himalayas. Everest, Lhotse, Cho-Oyu, and Makalu all visible at once. Standing there, the wind howls like the voice of the mountains themselves. And as the clouds drift apart, you realize something simple yet profound. Nepal isn't defined by its height, but by the harmony between its earth, its people, and its spirit. So how can a country smaller than the state of Texas hold the world's highest mountains, tropical jungles, and deserts all at once? Maybe the answer isn't in the land itself, but in the way Nepal lives within it. It's a place where nature and spirit, science and myth, survival and serenity all blend into one. Where people don't conquer the mountains, they coexist with them. And every valley, every temple, every trail tells a story of balance in a world that rarely has any. From the rooftops of Kathmandu to the icy ridges of Everest, Nepal isn't defined by its borders or its size. It's defined by how deeply it reminds us of our own connection to the earth and to each other. Because here, between heaven and earth, every breath feels like a prayer and every step feels like coming home.